So I'm going to talk about the structural question, question 17, and I would like to use this question to show you some examination skills. So for question 17, so here you can see that the respiratory system, and for the part A, okay, you are going to name the structure X and describe its function. So the 3 marks, okay, the mark allocation is that the name 1 mark and describe the function, okay, there will be 2 marks. So the point is that for the structure X, okay, probably if you cannot see it clearly, okay, I will give you a hint that structure X is the structure enclosing the lungs. Okay, so you will know what is structure X. It is not intercostal muscle, and it is not rib cage as well, because you can see that this small circle should be the ribs, okay, and this part will be the intercostal muscle. Okay, so any other parts, okay, the structure is enclosing the lungs. Okay, so you can name it and describe the function. So remember that the function is not enclosing the lungs. Okay, this sentence is telling you that the position, okay, the location of this structure. And for the question B, construct a flowchart to show the path of air passing from the atmosphere to the air sac of the lungs. So the point is that for this type of question, okay, you are going to draw a flowchart. So remember to use the arrow, okay, to show the direction of the flow, okay, the order of the flow. Okay, so that's the first point. And the second point is that remember that read the question carefully, because it will give you some hints, okay, what is the starting point and what is the end point. Okay, so from the atmosphere, okay, the first point, and to the air sac of the lungs, okay, it will be the end. Okay, so the point is that what you need to feel, okay, is the structure in between these 2 parts. Okay, so one more thing I would like to tell you is that for the question B, okay, the flowchart question, okay, so you will get all or none mark. Okay, if you correct, 2 marks. Okay, if you're wrong, 0 mark. There will no be 1 mark or 0.5 mark for you. Okay, for example, you may think that if there are 5 structure in between the starting and the end point, okay, so you may think that if you just write 4 items, okay, or 6 items, okay, probably at least I can get 1 mark. Okay, so the point is that no, okay, no such thing will happen. Okay, if there should be 5 structure, in between, if you write 4 structure, 0 mark. 6 structures, also 0 mark. Okay, and also if you mix up the order, okay, of the structure, okay, for example, if you think that the air, if we are breathing in, okay, the air should go to the trachea, and then it will go back to the nasal cavity, and then it will go to the bronchiole. Okay, so the point is that the order, okay, is just a mess. Okay, so it's not in a correct order, so it's also 0 mark. Okay, so for the flowchart question, I'll give you another example. Okay, this example is in chapter 2. Okay, the microscope. Okay, how can we use the microscope to observe the sample? Okay, so remember to use the arrow to show the order. Okay, and in this question, step A to step G, okay, you need to fulfill all the blanks, okay, in the order, in a correct order. Okay, so the point is that correct, 2 marks. Okay, wrong, 0 mark. Okay, just if you reverse the order, maybe just these 2 steps, okay, you will get 0 mark. Okay, so that's one part of it. And then we go to part C. Okay, part C is about how can we interpret the question, how much, okay, should we answer in this question. So asthma is a respiratory disease. When it attacks, structure Y will constrict and the patient will have breathing difficulty. Okay, so at this point you should know that, okay, you have to identify the structure Y first, and the structure Y is bronchial. Okay, it's bronchial. It's is not the air sac, it's bronchial, because the light is not pointing the end point, okay? The end point should be alveoli, but okay, it's just pointing to the bronchial, and the bronchial will constrict. Okay, remember the action verb. Okay, we use constrict, but not contract. Okay, the muscle can contract, can relax. Okay, for example, the intercostal muscle. Okay, it can contract and it can relax. The diaphragm muscle. Okay, the diaphragm muscle, it can also contract and it can also relax. Okay, but for the bronchial, because it's just a tube, okay, the tube cannot contract, but the tube can constrict. Okay, the lumen size will become smaller. Okay, and then the patient will have breathing difficulty. Okay, and for this point, I would like to tell you that the breathing difficulty can be divided into two types. One is the breathing in difficulty, and the other type is breathing out difficulty. Okay, so the point is that there will be two dimensions for the answer. But what you are going to answer is either one of the dimension is okay. If you need to explain the effect of asthma on the rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs. Okay, so there is the question. Okay, you need to explain the effect of asthma on the rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs. Okay, so here comes the examination skills. Okay, and the second one. Okay, the first one is the flowchart, and the second one is these examination skills. Okay, how much do you need to answer? Okay, so for the question 1, you can see that is exactly the same. Okay, for the part C. But the point is that how much you need to answer. Okay, explain the effect of asthma on the rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs. So the point is that, does the question mention the effect of asthma? Okay, will the asthma increase the rate of or lower the rate of the removal of the carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs? Okay, probably it does not mention the effect. Okay. You may see that, the question is asking me to explain the effect. Okay, so do I need to state the effect as well? Yes, you should and you must, because the question did not mention anything about the effect. Okay, a positive effect or a negative effect, higher or lower rate. Okay, it did not mention, so you need to mention it. Okay, so there will be 4 marks. 1 mark for the effect, higher or lower weight, and the 3 marks will be the explanation. Okay, and question 2 probably is the same to the question 1. Okay, same as question 1, because the question verb, explain, and other part of effects, or on the rate, is also the same. But the point is that for question 2, it becomes a little bit complete version for this question, because it tells you state the effect and then explain the effect. Okay, is likely a complete version of question 1. Okay, because the action verb state is added. Okay, so remember that state the effect 1 mark, and then explain the effect 3 marks. Okay, 1 plus 3, 4 marks. And for question 3, explain the lower rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs during the asthma attack. So the point is that in this question, it is not like question 2 and question 1. Okay, question 1 and 2, the effect is unknown. Okay, because the question did not tell you. But for the question 3, it tells you the effect. The effect is lower rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs. Okay, during asthma attack. Okay, so the point is that for question 3, you can just focus on explaining the reason. Okay, explaining the effect, and the effect will be lower rate of removal of carbon dioxide. So you can see that question 1 and 2, 4 marks, and question 3 only 3 marks. Why? Because it has already told you, the effect of asthma attack. Okay, so we have another example. Okay, so the point is that what they are talking about is the rigorous exercise, and how can it change? How can it affect the breathing rate and depth. Also, for question 1 and 2, okay, you can see that the question did not mention any relationship, okay, between doing rigorous exercise and the change of breathing rate and depth. Okay, so for question 1 and 2, you need to state the changes and then explain the changes first. Okay, also 1 plus 3. Okay, and in this case, because the state, okay, the action verb state is omitted in question 1, is omitted, but it doesn't mean that you do not need to answer it. Okay, so you still need to state the changes and then explain the changes. And for question 3, because the change has been mentioned, okay, increase the rate and depth of breathing when a person is doing rigorous exercise. So what you are going to do, focus on explanation is okay. Okay, so that's the one of the examination skills. Okay, and then we go back to the question. Okay, for the question 3, as I mentioned before, okay, so you have to mention, okay, you have to state the rate of removal of carbon dioxide from the blood of the lungs becomes higher or lower, okay, 1 mark. And then you are going to explain the thing to me, okay, recall the breathing difficulty. And in this case, I suggest you to use the breathing out approach. Okay, breathing in I will also tell you, but breathing out is a little bit easier because removal of carbon dioxide is about breathing out, right? And then you need to think about if you have breathing difficulty, so is there any changes of the volume of expired air? Okay, and then for this case, okay, I have a detailed plan for you. Volume of expired air, the amount of carbon dioxide removed from the air sac to the atmosphere, any changes, and the concentration of carbon dioxide inside the air sac, okay, higher or lower, and what will be the concentration gradient of carbon dioxide between the alveoli air and the blood. Alveoli air, that means the air in the air sac, okay, and the blood. Because why do we need to talk about concentration gradient? Because the carbon dioxide, they move across the cell membrane or they move across the respiratory surface in the lungs. That means the air sac, okay, the epithelium. The process is diffusion. And when we talk about diffusion, we need to talk about the concentration gradient, right? Okay, and the gradient will become steeper or smaller. Okay, so the last part, okay, mention the rate of carbon dioxide removal from the blood, okay, will become higher or lower, okay, refer to the topic sentence, what we call, okay. And then I will show you the pattern, okay, of the 2 types of answer. The first type, breathing out, okay, you can see that you can use the topic sentence first, okay, the effect, okay, is all, the rate of CO2 removal, okay, higher or lower, and then reason, okay, reason number 1, reason number 2, and reason number 3. Probably is just a series, okay, series of reason, okay. So you can see the logical mind, okay, logical flow, okay, of answering this question. Or you can choose, okay, to explain first, explain reason, and reason 1, 1, 1, okay, and then in the end, okay, in conclusion, so the rate of carbon dioxide removal from the blood will become higher or lower. So you can see that this sentence and this sentence are the same, because one is the topic sentence and the other is just like the conclusion. So that's why, okay, you can write the topic sentence first, and then 3 hours, okay, or you can write 3 hours first and then with the effect as a conclusion, okay. That's totally fine, okay, it's up to you. And it's the point for breathing out. And for the breathing in, okay, what you are going to change is that the volume of inspired air, okay, and the amount of fresh air, okay, in the air sac, okay, and the reason, okay, probably is the same, okay. And also E plus 3 hours or 3 hours plus 1 E, that's okay. And from this question, you can see the different examination skills, the flow chart, and how much do you need to answer in the question. And then we are going back to the question 19.